up guys, Learning with Rich here. In this video, we are going to learn the measuring tools in Navisworks Manage 2020. Alright, so let's get started. So I'm going to open first the exercise file that we are using. So I'm going to open coordination NWC. So this is now our model. Okay, so the first measuring tool that we will be using here is you go to the Review tab, Measure panel, you can see here these types of measuring tools. So the first one is the basic one. So wherein you pick between 2 points and then you will get the measure. Okay, so point to point. Okay, so I'm going to select the point to point here. You just need to pick 2 points. So let's say you want to measure the distance between this point here and then the point across here. Okay, so I'll just pick a rough point here. So I'm going to pick point to point. Let's click that one. And then I'm going to pick here. There you go. And then I'm going to pick this point here. This point. There you go. So that's the distance there. Okay, so you have the y-axis, you have the x-axis, and then that is our hypotenuse, the 58.545. Okay, and then there's also a z-axis of 0.14 meter. Okay, now if you want to save this view here, this markup, okay, so what you can do is just click here, convert to markup. So let us get a nice view, let's say this one, and then let's just select here, convert to markup. So it converts the current measurement to a markup. So let's click that one, and then you will notice here, it will also save the viewpoint, so that if you change your angle like that, you go to other views, you can still go back to that view. So you can just click that view, and then it will now open again that. Right? Okay, so that's the first one, point to point. The other one is point to multiple points. So you need to pick a base point, and then after that, any number of other points. Okay, just pick the base point, and then the second point that will gonna be the distance from the base point to the second point. And then if you pick another point again, so that will gonna be the distance from that new point again to the base point. So let's see this how it works. So let's select point to multiple points. So let's say, for example, so this is my first point here. So this corner here. So I'm going to pick that. Okay, so pick. So that's my base point, right? So let's say from that point, I want to measure up to here. So I'm going to click that one. Alright, so there's the distance from that point. Now I want to pick another point to measure from my first point. So let's say to this point, a new point, click, there you go. So again, from that point to another point here, to the next new point. So let's say from here, click, and there you go. Now, there's another option wherein you will be, you can be sure of that your next point is gonna be locked to that axis. So like for example, I'm gonna clear this one first. I'm going to select this face here, that face. So I'm gonna click that one, and then let's say I want to measure from that point to this point here, but I want that to be on the same elevation or same plane. Now for me to be able to do that, I can select here the lock drop down. As you can see, it's none. That's why I can move my point freely. But there are other options here that you can use to lock your axis. Like for example, if I select your x-axis, as you can see, that's your x-axis, right? So it's locked on the x-axis. Now for this direction, so that will gonna be your y-axis. There you go. See? So I can pick now another point here. So I'm sure that when I pick that point, so there is no z-axis or change of elevation on the second point because it's straight. It's like perpendicular. Okay, so that's the point from that point to that face there. Okay, so if you want to pick another point, so let's say to this face here. So you can change this to x-axis. So you can click that and then you can pick here. There you go. So that's your distance. Again, this is your point to multiple points wherein you pick first your base point, and then after that you can now pick your second point. And then the measurement will gonna be from that second point to the base point. And then if you pick another point like this point here, so that will gonna be from that new point again to the base point. All right, so that's how you use your point to multiple points. Okay, so let me just save this one, convert to markup. There you go. So first we have point to point. The next one, we have the point to multiple points. Now the third tool is point line. It measures a sequence of consecutive distances. So make sure it's consecutive distances. So let's try this one out. So what I'm going to do is, let's say, I'm just going to make this none. Again, you can just explore this axis here, like lock to x-axis, lock to y-axis. If you want vertical, so you can lock it to z-axis, and then you can lock it perpendicular, and then you can also lock it parallel. Okay, you can explore this if you have time. Right, so let me just use none here, and then I'll select here point line. So it measures a sequence of consecutive distances. So I'm going to select this. So let's say I'm going to start to this point, and then I will start up adding points. So this is my second point. So that's the distance. Now, if I pick another point, it will add up to that distance. So let's say from this point here, pick. Okay, so now it becomes 9.9. So I'm going to pick another point here. There you go. So it's adding up consecutive distances. There you go. So let's say here. There you go. Then last one, click. There you go. Okay. And then I'm now going to convert to markup. There you go. So that's our point line, measures a sequence of consecutive distances. Okay, the other one is accumulate. So this one is non-consecutive. So point line is consecutive distances. Accumulate is non-consecutive distances. So let's try this one out. So I'm going to select this, accumulate. So maybe I'm going to pick again here. Just to simplify it, click one point, second point. It will terminate. So I'm going to pick another point here. One. That point. So it will just keeps on adding. This point, this point. So it will just keeps on adding. Okay, so another point. There you go. So all of these lines here, the distances is total to 17.765 meters. Okay, so let me just save this one as our reference, convert to markup. There you go. So we have point to point. So we have multiple points. And then we have point line. And then we have accumulate. The next one is angle. Okay, so how to use the angle? So I'm going to, so obviously this one is 90 degrees, but let's try the angle. So let's click the angle. Okay, so I'm gonna click this face here. That's the face. And then let's say I'm gonna lock this to y-axis. Gonna lock that to y-axis and rotate. Okay, and then I'm gonna face here, click. There you go. And then I'm gonna pick another axis here, X. So that's my first line, and then this is the second line. There you go. So that's 90 degrees. Okay. All right. So let's try again. So I'm gonna select none, angle. So this one here, up to here. So that's the angle. Okay. So this one here, point here, up to here, and that's your angle. Alright, so that's how you use your angle. So let's convert this to markup. There you go. And then the last one is area. Okay, very simple. So let's say you want to know what is the area of this roof here. So you can just use the measure tool, area. Okay, so let's pick points. So I'll just pick roughly just to make it faster. So I'm gonna pick from here to here just to make it faster. Of course, in real project, you don't do like this. Okay, you need to zoom in to snap to the correct corners. Okay, so that one here, here, and there you go. So that's your area. So I'm now going to save it, convert to markup. There you go. So we have point to point, multiple points, and then we have these consecutive points, which is point line, and then we have accumulate, and then we have, of course, the angle, and then we have the area. Okay, so what about this one? Shortest distance. So you need to pick two elements to measure the shortest distance between these two elements. So like, for example, I'm going to select this duct here. So let's go to the Home tab. So let's click Select. So let's click that one and then hold Control and then select another object. So let's say this object here. I'm going to click. There you go. So once you select that two elements, if you go back again to review, you will notice your shortest distance now is enabled. So you just need to click that. It measures the shortest distance between two selected elements. Just click that and there you go. So that's now the shortest distance. So again, I can convert this. There you go. Okay. Right. Okay. What else? And if you click this drop down arrow, so you also have here transform selected items. So what's this? So it moves or rotate the currently selected objects with a measure tool rather than gizmo. Okay, because if you remember last time, we learned how to use our sectioning, right? Just a review. I'm gonna go to the viewpoint. I will enable the sectioning here, and then I will select fit to selection, and then this is the gizmo that I'm talking about, right? So this gizmo is the one that we use to control, to move, or to rotate our object, or to use in sectioning, right? So this is a gizmo. Now, let me just close this one. You can use your measure tool without using the gizmo by using transform selected items. Like for example, I want to move this. Okay, I want to move this. So let's say I'm gonna select here point to point. So I'm gonna pick that. So I'm gonna pick from this point here up to this point. So let's say I will lock that to z-axis, and then how about I will pick another point here. So maybe 4 meters. Click that one. So that's the distance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select here home, and then I'm going to select, and then I'm going to select this object here. Okay, so once I select that one, so if I go back again to review, if I click this drop down arrow, this transform selected items is now enabled. So if I click this one, it will now move that particular object. Okay, right? So let me just convert this. There you go. Okay, so we have that shortest distance, and then we have this transform selected items. So let me do it again. So I'm gonna use measure. So let's say I'm gonna pick to this space. I will lock this on y-axis. So let's say I'm gonna pick somewhere here. There you go. And then select the object that you want. Select tool, click, go to the review, measure, transform. There you go. So without using the gizmo, you are able to move or rotate your object. Okay, so basically these are the tools that we use to measure our building. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from this video. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.